The exploitation model, profiting by crushing others. The first demonic business model is what I call the exploitation model. This is when a company makes profit by taking advantage of people's desperation, vulnerability, or lack of knowledge. It is when businesses squeeze the poor, trap people in cycles of debt, or pay unfair wages while owners live in luxury. Think of predatory lending companies, payday loan schemes, or sweatshops where workers toil for pennies. On the surface, these may look like legitimate businesses, but at their core, they are fueled by greed. James 5 verse 4 warns us, "Behold, the wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, are crying out against you." As Christians, we cannot participate in or support businesses that thrive on exploitation. Because remember, God hears the cry of the oppressed, and no amount of earthly profit can silence that. The exploitation model, profiting by crushing others. The first demonic business model is what I call the exploitation model. This is when a company makes profit by taking advantage of people's desperation, vulnerability, or lack of knowledge. It is when businesses squeeze the poor, trap people in cycles of debt, or pay unfair wages while owners live in luxury. Think of predatory lending companies, payday loan schemes, or sweatshops where workers toil for pennies. On the surface, these may look like legitimate businesses, but at their core, they are fueled by greed. James 5 verse 4 warns us, "Behold, the wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, are crying out against you." As Christians, we cannot participate in or support businesses that thrive on exploitation. Because remember, God hears the cry of the oppressed, and no amount of earthly profit can silence that. The addiction model, profiting by enslaving desires. The second demonic model is the addiction model. This is when businesses create products or services that deliberately hook people, destroy self-control, and enslave them to habits that harm their bodies, minds, or souls. This could include casinos, pornography, drug trade, or even modern tech companies that engineer apps to keep people glued to screens for hours. When the goal is not to serve but to enslave, not to uplift but to entrap, it is not from God. Proverbs 23 verses 20 to 21 reminds us not to be among drunkards and gluttons, because their end is ruin. Addiction-based industries profit by keeping people weak, distracted, and bound in sin. As followers of Christ, we are called to freedom, and we should never profit from someone else's chains. The deception model, profiting by lies and manipulation. The third model is perhaps one of the most common today, the deception model. These are businesses that build wealth by misleading customers, twisting truth, and manipulating people into choices they wouldn't normally make. False advertising, hidden fees, multi-level scams, counterfeit goods, or even spiritual scams that exploit people's faith. These are all rooted in lies. And who is the father of lies? The devil himself. John 8 verse 44. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 11 verse 1, "The Lord detests dishonest scales, but accurate weights find favor with him." Any business that manipulates truth for gain is walking in demonic territory. If lies are the foundation, collapse is the destiny. The idolatry model, profiting by replacing God. The fourth demonic business model is the idolatry model. This is when businesses or brands elevate themselves into positions of worship. It is when money, fame, or power becomes not just the byproduct of success, but the very idol being sold. We see this in industries that glorify celebrity culture, materialism, and self-worship. We see it in occult businesses that openly market witchcraft, astrology, or manifestation techniques as a path to wealth and power. These systems lead people away from God and into false altars. Exodus 20 verse 3 is clear, "You shall have no other gods before me." But entire industries today are built on seducing people to bow before false gods of wealth, status, and pleasure. As Christians, we must discern where simple commerce ends and idolatry begins. The destruction model, profiting by harming God's creation. Finally, the fifth demonic business model is the destruction model. This is when profits are made by destroying lives, families, communities, or even the environment God entrusted us to steward. This includes industries that promote violence, break down family values, traffic humans, or poison the earth for unchecked gain. The enemy's mission has always been clear: to steal, kill, and destroy. John 10 verse 10. Any business that thrives by destruction is aligned with that mission. Christians are called to be builders, not destroyers, to restore, not to exploit, and when we partner with businesses that profit by destruction, we share in their judgment. If this message opened your eyes, don't just stop here. Pray over your business, your career, and your financial decisions. Ask God for discernment. Share this teaching with a friend who might be entangled in one of these models. And if you want more deep dives into biblical wisdom for life and business, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and join me on this journey of truth. Because at the end of the day, it is better to have a little with righteousness than great gain with injustice. Proverbs 16 verse 8. Stay blessed, stay discerning, and I'll see you in the next video. A higher standard. So there you have it. The 5 demonic business models that Christians are warned to avoid. Exploitation, profiting by crushing others. Addiction, profiting by enslaving desires. Deception, profiting by lies. Idolatry, profiting by replacing God. Destruction, profiting by harming creation. But this message isn't just about what to avoid. It's also about what to build. God is raising up believers to establish kingdom businesses. Companies that bless, that bring light, that create value without corruption, that uplift instead of exploit. Businesses that reflect the heart of Christ. If you are in business, ask yourself, is my model aligned with God's principles? Or am I walking on dangerous ground? And if you are supporting businesses as a consumer, choose wisely. Every purchase is a vote. Every partnership is a seed. Remember, my friends, wealth in itself is not evil. But when the path to wealth leads through demonic foundations, the cost is always greater than the gain. Build wisely, invest eternally, and let your work glorify God, not mammon.